planting scheme. Does that include plants as well as labour?
Plants. No, there's no labour.
No labour, just plants, just the plants.
Yes.
Does it include the actual planters around?
No,
John donated
the wood was around, we did ourselves, and the wood was given to us by the contractors who dealt with the culvert. So that saved us a great deal of money. There was £25 for compost, which went in there for the amount of compost, and the plants were 157.
Can I say that 157 seems an awful lot of plants?
You could have had compost from my house for free, plenty of it. And I thought, and I just looked through the minutes actually, because I was under the understanding that the two girls were actually donating the plants.
Yeah. Where did you get that from?
Well, that was my understanding.
Well, I don't know.
If you remember, part of this expenditure, it was waived by me. My councillor's expenses, I said I would donate it to this. I must admit I didn't realise it was 157 quid's worth of plants, but there are a lot of plants in, and they do look very nice.
Yes, don't doubt. I just think it's
Well, there's no doubt about that.
And I think there are also plants for recycling during the year, because those plants will have to come out and be replaced in the season.
So that'll be planted up for the whole year with.
Well, I mean, I can ask her to.
Can you clarify that?
I can ask her to quantify.
But I'm not sure. Sorry.
Yeah, feel free.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure who instructed. I assume John had a word with Amanda and she just went ahead. So I don't think we can not pay Amanda because she's gone ahead with the work in good faith.
Yeah.
So I just think it would
just
be
a lesson for the future.
Yeah, just to say, I would propose that we pay Amanda and then we sort out with her what her intentions are with her going forward.
Yeah. Are we happy that that is an acceptable proposal? Yeah.
Okay, so then Peter and John now need to discuss.
Yes, could you vacate please temporarily?
Yeah. Do you want me to get Amanda to quantify that? I mean, she can give a breakdown.
I think historically.
Should that go to the client? Should
Peter,
that go
what
to
do you
the
want
client?
Oh, just find you.
Would you like to vacate the premises temporarily, please? Whistling Pete.
It's just to remind people it's there. As if we need to come on.
So we have two invoices, one from Peter for some of the very good maintenance work he's been doing
Yes.
over the last month or so.
Yes.
And there's another one from John for some bits and pieces that he did as well back along. I can't quite remember what they were for now, but
We've done a splendid job on that for
yeah,
play area.
that's what it is, that's right. It was. So yeah, only 29.77 for that one, and 51.41 for Peter's. So I mean, if you're happy with that, are you happy to?
I think a vote of thanks from the committee to Peter and John for the work that they've done.
I know it's an item that's coming up under later on, but to my mind it just highlights to me that with all due respect, none of us are getting any younger around this table, and we really need to think about the future, and we can't necessarily rely on the good graces of people like Peter. And as some of you may or may not know, but Mac Hares was also party to helping out Peter, because Peter does struggle with one of his hands at the moment. And of course, all the work they've done, all we were charged for were materials.
Yes, true.
So I think you're absolutely right, a vote of thanks should be recalled on
And
that.
right to Mac as well, to
It wouldn't
acknowledge.
hurt, but I said to him this morning, there's not another Mac and there's certainly not another Peter, so between them.
Yeah.
If anybody saw what was going on last night, it was it's almost like something out of a circus act. There's one balancing on steps at the other, at one end of the goalpost and the other one on the other steps. And in the end, the complainant had to help them remove the hole. Would so like to knock on the window and say, come back.
I'll try back at Tom actually, so
Yeah.
I should come in there. They've just been doing a green inspection.
Yes.
We've talked about our meeting this afternoon.
Yeah, we don't need to cover that.
Anything
We've done
further?
in detail. Oh, the only thing I want to say was about Jason. Oh, we mentioned that, haven't we? We mentioned about Jason.
We haven't mentioned that.
No, should we tell just what one of the
Yeah,
items discussed?
we did have a meeting with the finance monitoring group this afternoon. As a new broom, I did ask Owen some questions, and in particular, I said, do we have a contract with GB Sports? And the answer is we don't. And the other was, could I see Jason's contract? And we did. And the two reasons. One, I know we're going to enter into this discussion later on with Brian, but I think it'd be useful just to set the scene. I was particularly concerned that GB Sports seemed to fail to identify any issues of a serious matter with the seesaw, and yet some of us around this table had highlighted issues, and in the end, because it got to the point of being quite worrisome, because Peter sent me a note about it, Owen spoke to GB Sports, and at that point it suddenly appears on their report as being an item of concern.
Mr. Chairman, that's not strictly correct, because they did identify the seesaw in a past report, which I have still got a copy of,
Okay.
because I used that report to base my claim for a grant.
Was that a
Okay.
medium risk one?
Sorry?
Was that a medium risk one, or was it one?
It was classed as the because the seesaw went up so high, it was classed as a health and safety risk for youngsters getting trapped underneath it, but also it was identified that it was in a poor state at that time.
Okay.
That's what prompted me to make that application, but obviously things have deteriorated
But
from there.
Because of that concern, and I'm not necessarily knowing that, I was also concerned about the competencies of the people doing the inspection. And because when you go on their website, you don't see anything about who we are and our expertise. All you see is, we can sell you this, that and the other. And it was quite helpful that this afternoon we had the guy doing our annual inspection, and I had an opportunity to talk with him, and he clearly is a competent person, and he is registered with our PII, who are the organisation that should be doing this. And it also seems to turn out that the guy from GB Sports, Colin Lewis, who does our inspections, is also a member of our PII. But I think the thing I was quite happy with, that the fact that the guy doing our annual inspection, though he is, as I understand, employed by GB Sports to do it, he is independent of GB Sports, and therefore what we get is his view, warts and all, which is what we want. Because let's be honest, the biggest risk we have as a council, I think, to any public liability is what goes on that playing field. And that's why I was getting a bit twitchy. I'm happy at the moment that we seem to have resolved the situation of the seesaw in terms of it's being taken apart as far as we can, other than the fulcrum in the middle, but I'm not sure what we're going to do with that, Peter, whether you're going to still struggle or we need to get somebody in.
I'll have another go, but if I can't...
Lots of WD-40 or something, I guess. To swear at it is usually good.
It's interesting, the annual inspection, mind you, is the one that the insurers insist upon. The other one is a sort of our own satisfaction that things are okay and there's nothing major sort of creeping up into the problem area.
But my again, just adding to my concern, personal concern, is we as a council have obviously a duty of care on what happens out there. And if, God forbid, there is an accident or worse, as a result of somebody using the equipment, the sort of 3 key questions that would be asked. Have we got insurance? Yes, we can tick that box. Are we doing the necessary inspections? Yes, we can tick that box. Have we carried out risk assessments on the equipment? And that's the one I don't think we can tick. You know, I'm not saying we've got to desperately go out and do it, but sometime we need to think about how we can do risk assessments on all the items of equipment. And the key issues will be trips, slips, falls and entrapment. Those are the key, and possibly at risks of, well, I call it working at height, but obviously we've got equipment which you could fall from. Now, I'm not going to say any more, but it might be that Brian's little working group may wish to consider how we could progress that aspect going forward, and whether we consider ourselves competent enough to carry out these risk assessments, or we need to get expert help, which will be a cost, obviously.
Well, I'm quite prepared to sit on a little committee about talk about apparatus on the playing field, but I'm not prepared to have anything to do with health and safety and risk assessment.
I think that, I mean, that would be my view, that none of us around this table
If I was to say it was fit enough and somebody fell off,
Yeah, we've got competence.
It needs to be done by
I mean,
professional.
as a newbie and a newcomer and totally non-expert on play equipment, I just got quite concerned and just thought, what would happen if the worst scenario occurred? Do we need to consider having risk assessments carried out, or is it something GB Sports can do for us?
well, I think we all speak to them and say, is it normal, is it natural, is it necessary? You speak like
Well, just
insurance.
be progressive, don't we?
What's the rules and regulations, what's the law?
One of the problems with insurers, of course, if you ask them the question, do we need this?
Yes.
They'll say, oh yes,
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah.
They'll shake their head rigorously, because they want to protect themselves, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, but whether we actually need to do it, I mean, I can make a few inquiries and find out in law where we
Well, that's
stand.
it.
It would be useful, could you do that in the first instance, because we don't want to go down this route unnecessarily,
Mhm.
but I'm knowing the potential implications of something like this happening. And in a different world, in a different scenario, somebody made a very bad decision, I'm telling one of the people around this table, and as a consequence, one of the individual's competences were questioned by the insurer, and that interview took 10 hours.
Mm.
You know, you could be, you know, in other words, though we have insurance, the insurance company may not pay up because we did something in an incompetent manner. That's all we're trying to protect us against.
I'll make some inquiries. I mean, SELF is always a good call on these sort of things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we pay a fee to SELF every year. Let's get some advantage for the users.
Could we contact a body like Roster for advice? Because GB Sports have a vested interest really, so anything from them would be prejudice possibly. But Roster is an independent safety organisation.
And they used to do our annual inspections, of course, Rosper at one time.
Yes.
Before we went across to GB, they were our annual inspectors.
Yes.
I think in the first instance, if Owen looked at asked Owen to look at any legal, recheck the legal implications,
Check it yourself.
see what's up, advise, and then if necessary we can see Ross's opinion. Okay.
Just one final, two more matters on budget. First of all, you've got a budget sheet in front of you, and you'll see from that we're almost spot on target. We're 27% after 3 months of our budget, which is pretty good. You know, budgeting really, on behalf of the council. Bottom figure there, 27.96, which, as I say, that fits very well with what we set out in the early part of the year. And that does include June figures, by the way, so that's why it's 3 months, April, May, June. I put the figures in there, assuming you were agree with the paint just so you've got a quarterly figure. Okay? And the other thing is, we haven't yet got a resolution to approve the other payments. We've got the two here approved, but we haven't got a resolution on the others.
I propose that we make those other payments that are outside.
Is that accepted by everybody?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's fine.
Right, Brian.
Right, could you take one of these each and pass them down, please? And I'll go through it with you. You've got this one, okay, there should be enough for each. Right, we had a meeting last week, as you can see, and these are the items that we came up with. Obviously the slats on the climbing frame have been repaired thanks to Peter. The seesaw we felt was the most urgent thing in need of replacement, and Colin has negotiated with GB Sports a reduction in a gull-wing seesaw, and if you don't know what it looks like, here's a picture that Colin has put up for us. Any more?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Everybody got one? Yeah. Thank you. The original cost of it was, for installation as well, was 2,655, as you can see, and it's got down to 2,295. You've got the photograph of it. This was the seesaw that was favoured by the group, the one we saw. Now, the cost of this could almost be covered by our received grant of £725 from the Nuttall Trust, plus I think there's £1,500 in the current budget. So, as regards funding, we don't need to apply, I don't think, for anything else.
Is that cost,
Any
can I just ask
questions?
that cost, is the cost include installation?
Yeah, that's
That's fully
installation. That's
installed.
installation,
And
yeah.
a note on here that says, for safety, seesaws usually require a soft surface below. But, so
That's all included, yeah.
would they put pneumatic rather than glass?
It includes that.
Okay, thank you.
Right, the other thing we felt was important was to provide something for the older children, particularly things like football, and as you know, the football posts have been taken down and there have already been complaints about it. We looked at various items and we liked the idea of this one. So that was paper.
Yeah.
They've actually got the whole lot.
They are. And this is a standalone mini goal and side panels and cricket wicket, targets and baseball net. It's in the Wicksteed's catalogue here, page 245, if you want to have a look at it. Its approximate dimensions are 3 metres high and 5.5 wide. The supply of the apparatus is £3,661, and the only extra cost there would be the preparation of the site, which would be £811. We don't know what the cost of the surface would be yet, because we don't know how big we would want the surface, what area, and they would have us do a site visit for us, and that would be free, which I thought was rather good. Another suggestion was that we could use the Hadstone Energy donation to cover the most cost of this item. Now, Scott Mason of Sedgemoor, who took over from Harvey
Cook.
he's already been contacted by Colin to view the proposed site, and hopefully he'll be here shortly, and we'll go and meet him and see what he thinks about it and where it should go.
Could I ask who he is, Scott Mason?
He is the...
He took over from Harvey, he's in charge of parks and play areas in Sedgemoor District Council.
And today, we also looked at 3 firms, GB Sports, Compan, which is catalogue here, and Wicksteed, and came up with these ideas. Any further funds, John has said that he's very much au fait with pro formas to fill in and gaining grants as appropriate. Now today we had I had an email from Scott I can find it. Can't put my hand on it there. And he said he was quite happy with the idea of it at the moment, but because he said Wicksteed were a very good, competent firm, but obviously he wouldn't commit himself until he actually saw the area itself and also the effect possibly on neighbours.
Where are we?
Well, we were thinking of just here, behind the toilet, where the goalpost was, that area. So those are our findings, and which we present to you to think about and discuss.
Brian, can I ask roughly what sort of size play area would be?
Well, the width is, as I say, 5.5.
No, I meant the ground that would be needed to play on.
You needn't demarcate it if the ground was slightly levelled where it's presently worn.
Yeah.
Then the grass could just be mowed.
Is that what they mean by preparation of site?
Yes, yeah. Unless Scott Mason says, well, because he did say in his email, correct me, Brian, that in some places they have put down like an all-weather surface, but that's for us to take his advice.
Right.
But
It's not necessarily compulsory.
No.
I mean, it would obviously ideal to have a proper surface.
Yeah, ideally, yes.
Yeah.
Bob?
A couple of good questions on the football goal one. If we went with grass to start with, would it be something we could retrofit? Putting a surface on. Could you put a surface on afterwards, or do you have to put the surface in advance?
I don't know.
I would think you could put it in afterwards.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Well, it says this is a standalone wall.
Yeah.
So I think you could put it in afterwards.
And could I ask one question on the seesaw? Do we have any sort of idea as to what age, what sort of weight it takes? The sort of
6 and above, isn't it?
didn't see that.
Yes.
5 and above.
5.
5, sorry.
5 years and above,
Yeah.
You won't be allowed on it.
Sorry.
Still,
Anyway, those are our findings, and we put them to you to give us your opinions to mull over them.
I think we need to, it would be useful, I think, to treat the issues as two separate ones. But first of all, can I thank Brian and his group for a very comprehensive piece of work, and hopefully resolving the immediate issues. I think there is an adjunct to what we've done. In other words, we need to perhaps consider as an ongoing thing whether we can do anything to the existing. We've mentioned painting, but talking to the inspector today, he was saying that the swing seats are built for hips of the 1960s and 1970s, and people have grown width-wise, and they wouldn't necessarily accommodate. And I noticed, Owen and I picked up that some of the seats are starting to split.
That's only the rubber covering.
It's only rubber, yeah.
The other thing too we've mentioned in the past is painting the roundabout
Yes.
really bright colours to make it much more attractive.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with the roundabout.
No, just to make it, yes.
I think Brian has done a very comprehensive presentation, but we decided as a group that, as you said, it should be split into two, and we should have a vote on as to what we're doing with the seesaw first.
Absolutely, this is what I was coming on to here.
Because that, we've got the money for that, we can progress that straight away.
If we wanted to go ahead, I mean, the other question we don't know is how quickly that would be. If we said to them tomorrow, do we have a timescale on that?
He's got it already.
So it could be done within a couple of weeks.
He's got it. Mr. Chairman, could I propose, please, make a proposal that as regards the seesaw, in accordance with the quote we've received from GB Sports and our grant from the Little Trust and our contingency in our budget, that we agree to go ahead with this particular project on the seesaw. That's my proposal.
Is there any second? Do we second it? Yeah, and are we all in favour?
Yeah.
That's good.
On the second one, sorry, Brian.
No, you carry on. No, you can. Say my piece.
I would like to propose in the first instance that in the proposal in that we in theory accept that the Hadstone Energy donation be assigned to this particular project, and that you give Brian and his team the agreement to go ahead and pursue this, to report back, having spoken with Scott, and quantified exactly where we are in terms of preparation and siting.
And if we meet Scott Mason, if I may say, we all four of us need to meet him.
Yeah. Before that as well, are we as a group happy with that? Because I think, personally, having seen it now, it's something that would satisfy the teenagers that have been complaining.
I think we should still hold on until we meet.
Yeah.
I'm saying, that as a point of principle, Peter,
Yeah.
that or something similar is what we are looking for. I mean, the other thing that we perhaps could have done is to ask the complainants
Well,
what would they want.
Well, it's the cheapest thing that we can get to a, if you like, a mugger that provides three sports: basketball, football, cricket, and
I think it's good. Brilliant.
Yeah,
The catalogue here for Wicksteed, there is one without the baseball net, basketball net,
That's fine.
just the goal.
So
Do we need that?
we used to have one, yes.
it's like to play basketball.
Yes.
Well, I was talking with my wife and she said, well, there are girls and they might like to play netball.
That's true.
So I think that is an ideal.
Yeah.
I think it's ideal.
Because they can't play at the same time,
Well,
Just to agree with you, I think it covers the range of things that we want the kids to have, and also it's within the price range. Because obviously when we looked at the previous ones, it was going to
Way
put us
over.
through it, we'll get to. I think this is.
and I would have thought taking the proposal of using the Hadstone grant, that they would welcome confirmation that we've used this in this manner. So,
One of the things we will need to look at is obviously if we are talking about locating out near where the other goal was, there are a number of trees that are currently there. We'll have to work out how it fits in, around or over. But
Well, we'll see what Scott Brown, Mason says, yeah.
Does the height of the netting behind, is the height of the netting behind high enough to protect the windows from the village hall?
Well, the height of the thing is.
at the moment, we've had a goal post, which is not really a goal post, it's just
No.
two uprights and a cross piece, no net.
Well, 3 metres is
They've been using-
higher than this
You've
room.
only got a low goal as well in this thing.
Yes.
It's not
It's not
full
as high.
height.
Okay.
It's only like a five-a-side type goal. So you're
But Colin,
not.
at the moment, there's been no netting,
No.
nobody's put a ball through a window to my knowledge,
No.
so what's the difference?
Right. It's a comment I can make.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You have my proposal anyway.
Can we vote on Colin's?
So proposal Hadstone Energy to be assigned to the project.
Yeah, and then
Grant. Yeah.
Brian's group to further investigate,
With
having followed up discussions with Sedgemoor, and come back with any further recommendations. And that would be nice if we could do that at the next meeting, and then we could get it. There's some lads out there playing football as we speak.
I'm away on Saturday for 11 days, so I'll try and get some working before,
We'll try and
but
get
then
them
I'm
Friday.
away. Yeah.
We'll try and get
So
them
can we send that proposal, please?
Oh, seconded, did you say?
Can we accept it?
Oh, right.
I think I'm saying no.
We have a proposal.
Sorry.
That's fine. Well, personally, can I just thank that group for a splendid effort, and I think it's been good.
Can we, who's going to order the seesaw?
Brian,
Yeah.
GB.
Yeah.
Can you let me have details, Brian, when you do that, so I can issue a formal order on it?
I'm not
Yeah.
sure how that progress is. Is it as a councillor, can Brian do it, or does he through the clerk?
Well, yeah, you can do it through the clerk, or you can do it, Brian, but whatever happens, I need to issue actually a formal order. So it
Better
doesn't-
be.
Come from me, just tell
all the
me
details.
tell me the details and I'll do it.
I'm going
I'll
to
deal
be
with
away
it.
anyway.
I'll do it, Brian, just give me the details and I'll do it.
You got give it that.
That's his,
Will I need
That's
any
the new
paper?
quote.
that's his quote, there, there's a star.
No, it's not. No, thank God.
Right. Anything further on the former recycling area?
Cycle that.
Yeah, I've had a look at cycle racks. They're quite cheap actually, I thought. I thought the best idea was to have what they call fixed butterfly wall mounted ones. In other words, they're like that, like a butterfly wing, and you can wrap your lock around both and have them fixed to the side of the toilet.
We've got the
In
fence.
between, won't be any good fixing to the fence.
No, we've got the fence panel there. Do we need that fence panel?
Which do you mean? Like
Between
the front
the car
one,
park.
the front bit?
Yeah. The car park and the
No.
toilet block is a fence panel. Do we need it?
Well, not really. I mean, I've said
Yes,
that
we
before.
do.
But
Yes, I would have said
It's
yes.
holding the sign up.
Good reason.
But I thought on the side of the toilet,
Yeah, that's ideal for that because it's
Yeah.
concrete.
but you won't get many in. You only get about 3 or 4. But they're only £16 each plus VAT.
And then the installation, which I guess
Well,
is just from bolts in the concrete.
Yeah, and that's workplace products. I thought they were the best looking. So if you want to look them up yourself, it's called Workplace Products, cycle racks. And that's £16 plus free delivery.
So how much that?
£16 plus free delivery plus VAT. And they look pretty strong to
And to
me.
be honest, if we're having 4, what's that for? £80?
64
64.
plus VAT.
That's why we get the VAT back in
Yeah.
there.
We'll have to measure up first before we decide how many we could fit in sensibly, but I would think
Well,
about
do we have a proposal to just simply, I mean, we own the toilet block as the council, so we can do it. Do we have a proposal
Do we
to
need
go
a
ahead?
planning
Don't put
permission?
insurance out
Can
there.
we give ourselves planning permission?
It's in the built area. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't need
No, no.
anyone else's permission but ours, but the only thing you might want to just double check is the standard of the wall as to whether it's going to be okay.
Mm.
Certainly that return wall is only it's not very solid.
Uh,
The wall that does the part of the building, I think, will certainly be solid enough,
mm,
but there is the baffle,
Just a
which
modesty.
yeah,
mm,
but have a look at it. If it's structurally sound enough, it'll be all right.
yeah. Mm.
So as a point of principle, we would like to go ahead, so if Brian would be kind enough just to measure up and see
Yeah.
how many we think we could do it,
Yeah.
but somebody needs to perhaps put a drill in it or something just to see
Yeah,
whether
but the other thing too is that you said about the fence.
Yes.
At the front. In fact, that hides it all, so people wouldn't even know they were there, would they?
No.
Do you find
is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yes, you get pinched.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
We need a sign also to say that bicycles left there at
They're
owners' owners.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is a recycling area.
No.
I question the need for the fence panel,
Mm.
in all seriousness.
Yeah, because it's not serving any purpose, is
And
it?
to be honest, it can hide things going on
Mm.
between the toilet block and the car park.
What do you know that we don't?
Have you not examined what goes on down there in terms of what's on the ground,
Yeah.
detritus?
Brent Knoll.
Yes, in Brent Knoll.
It would be quite a project to get rid of that.
I don't know.
It's quite... Isn't it?
Yeah.
No?
Just a road and put it behind, put it around his tow bar.
Mm.
No,
Well,
No,
do
I
we
would
don't
prefer
have
to
to do
see
it.
it gone.
don't give up the
myself.
coast.
I don't think it's something we need to do like tomorrow,
No.
but I would certainly support it going in the future
Perhaps we
sometime, please.
could make a note of it and discuss it again later.
Yeah.
Question mark over the fence, then, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, got the other stuff.
Thank you then. Next item, pitching the 10th parish council involvement, or not, as the case may be. Now, could Colin be kind enough, because you've probably got more background initially, and then see
Okay.
how we want to go.
As you know, at our AGM, Simon Lewis and his team came to tell us all about their exercise called Repitching the Tent, which is a process whereby they're looking at all 3 churches, Limpsham, East Brent, Brent Knoll, to decide whether they are suitable buildings to provide the list of services that they've identified over various surveys. And they are going through a process, and they obviously want representatives. The parish councils of East Brent and Limpsham are represented, together with the church wardens of the other churches. Brent Knoll is represented by Kim Wilcox, who's our village agent, as you know, Francis James and Mike Smith. Tony Gilbert resigned from the PCC, so he's not there, so we aren't very well represented formally. I've attended 2 of the meetings now, and I feel that, notwithstanding that I'm not a churchgoer, we need to advise the village of what is happening to their church, be they churchgoers or not, because it's an important asset of the village, and I think people need to know. So I'm quite happy to go on my own, not representing the Brent Knoll Parish Council, if you don't want us to be represented. But what I would like to do is be a representative of Brent Knoll Parish Council, because I think we should be in a position where we can write in the BKN exactly what is going on and advise people, because it is quite an exercise. And if this church, St Michael's Church, were to be closed for whatever reason, I think I'd like to be there knowing the justifications for those reasons, so that I could, or we as a parish council could inform the village. I'm not saying we want to take responsibility for the church, but I just think we need to take responsibility for our village and advise the residents of exactly what's happening. So I think it's something we should support. I know a lot of you have got different ideas, but I'm happy to give up the time to go. June will be an exceedingly interesting meeting, because what they're doing is they're doing what they call SWOT analysis on each church, i.e. strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. That's right. And we did it on East Brent Church, and out of a score of 70, they only scored 20. Now, I know that St Michael's Church here is far better placed than East Brent Church, so I'll be very interested to see that that building is scored correctly, because I don't want us to be, because we are underrepresented, to be bulldozed in the process. And likewise, we're doing St Michael's Church on the same day. Sorry, not St Michael's, St Christopher's. So we'll have a really good idea as to where St Michael's stands in the overall scoring. And it is quite interesting. It is very controlled by Jeff Searle and Simon Lewis, very controlled. There's not a lot of scope for arguing or putting forward ideas, not at the moment. But I just think we need to decide whether we like an involvement. As I say, I'm happy to be involved. I can see what they're trying to achieve now. But I'm happy to go along on my own, but I would like the support of Brent Knoll Parish Council.
Well, I personally, I would welcome Colin and he's volunteered to be representing the council, because if the worst scenario happened and we had no representation as parish council, I suspect we would be up for criticism from the village and the residents. And if, so my proposal would be to you that
Yes.
Colin would act as Brent Knoll Parish Council representative, as if you're happy to do that, Colin, and thank you for that, Peter.
Well, my proposal is strictly against it. I don't believe that the council should have anything to do with the church. They should run themselves as they wish. As to whether a member of the council wants to go along in his own right to be a part of the team, then it's up to them. I would bow to something like the SID or the the speed operation, in as much as they do things in their own patch and then maybe report back to the council. But there are people in this village that we represent everybody in this village, and there are people of other faiths, there are people that couldn't give a toss about the church. That's my opinion.
Yeah, that's fine. Bob?
I must admit, I agree with Colin. I think it's a key building within this parish, and it is a public building in the nature that it is there. I think it's something that, as you say, I think we should be there representing the whole of the parish. Those who are interested in it, those who aren't, that's fine. It doesn't matter. We're there representing everybody, and having that feedback to get that information out to everybody, I think, is incredibly important, whatever the way it moves. I mean, we do things like supporting with the payments for the maintenance of the churchyard, not because we're supporting the church, but because the churchyard is an important feature of the parish.
No, we don't. I must butt in. We do that because the burial ground is a communal ground, and anyone can be buried there.
Yeah, and anyone can go in the church. There's no,
Well,
it's
no
not a
barrier.
building, so there's no thing to say that because you're not a church goer you cannot go into that
No.
building. And as long as it remains that, I would say it's a public access, and it's important that we take a role in that. So I would support Colin doing that.
If there's any other comment, without any other comments, can we go to that? John, do you want to?
Well, I'd also be quite happy to support Colin along these lines. For the village.
Yeah, as John's, sorry, Mr. Chairman, please forgive me butting in, but as John's got such a lot of knowledge also about St Michael's and about its condition in particular, I will take John along to those meetings where he can give input. At the moment, because of the way it's structured, they're just sticking to the working group. But come September, when it gets a bit more nitty-gritty, is the time when John should come along. There's only one more meeting now before the summer recess, for want of a better word. So John won't miss a lot in the next one, but because we're already in working group teams, so I'll be happy to involve John.
We have a proposal. Could we vote on that proposal, please? Colin is acting as a representative. So all those in favour?
And those against?
Those against?
So, the majority.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item was Crooked Lane Project sleeper removal.
They are removed.
They are removed. Thank you, David. Excellent.
What do you want doing with them?
I don't know.
Well,
we just wanted them removed. I wasn't sure what happened to
Well, we
them.
were going to use them for by the railway as
Right.
steps.
Right.
But at the time I couldn't get in the field. But then someone also said to me that you can't use them as steps on the public footpath because they become too slippy. So we need to think about it. But hopefully, if I talk to John nicely, we can keep them at his for now.
Use them as use them as a border for raised beds.
So ideas, there's 6 of them.
Cut them in half and put raised beds around the other signs in the village.
And who's going to keep them? And by the plant.
Oh, I know, no. That's future. That's the future. Well, so at the moment, where are they?
In John's field.
Yeah.
Are you happy to leave them there for temporary, John?
Yes, I'm last night.
Would you be kind enough to do
The
those?
chairman's asking you not to.
I'm asking you nicely.
Yes,
Yeah, okay. So thank you for doing that.
They've been removed.
So that's been removed.
Can
That-
we, Sorry.
So we've got this step issue.
Sorry, we've got the step issue.
Then we have now got the step issue.
Is it on both sides of the railway?
No.
Yeah.
It's on
big drops on both
But-
sides.
yeah, there's one.
But one's worse than the other.
But if you put, if you got these sleepers, surely David, and you stapled some chicken wire to the top or put some metal on
Yeah,
there.
I think we just got to look into
Yeah.
it.
But
I know you can, yes.
could Ian Durston, whatever his name is,
This guy's name's come up. Who is he?
Ian Dustin, he's a local contractor, he's done some work for us in the past, he does a lot of work for us.
Fencing.
I mean, if he got one of those and cut it in half,
The only other thing I just thought, if you could maybe make like a planter, but much smaller, and fill it with gravel, because then you've actually got a bit of a raised area you go up onto.
yeah.
But
Yes,
that's all I do is just
What they do is stand them on their end, don't they? Drive them in their end, and then at 3 different levels, so you actually got the stairs.
Just remember that dogs go through there, you
Yeah.
want to make sure they can
that's
get
the
through.
thing.
And little dogs can get through the big, the big dogs not.
Who's proposed? Sorry, Bob.
Well, I was going to say, it might be worth having a word with Chris East's game, just to
Yeah.
get his
Yeah.
clearance. If it's going on the path, he's happy, then we're
Yeah.
clear.
He might come at you.
Chris needs to be consulted.
Yeah.
Proposed to use sleepers.
Yeah.
And once he's done that, we can.
I'll meet him all day.
So, okay, so if I contact Chris and just say, can he contact you for it?
Yeah.
Steps.
Thank you.
When it
Yeah,
comes
that's
to our contact.
Yeah, I'm quite happy to move them back.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Whether bus service or not, there is some feedback from Bob, I understand.
Yeah, not great news, other than just to report where we are at the moment. As you all know, we lost the bus service down Brent Street last year when there was a change of funding. We did still have the bus that was going along Burton Row. That was supplied by Weber Bus, who have now gone bankrupt, and so that service has now ceased. There was a press release put out about a week, 10 days ago, about the fact that County had been negotiating with First Bus to try and cover some of the routes that Weber's had, and the 76, I think it was, which was the Burnham to Western route, they have now covered that with a bus that is going from First, which is their number 20 bus, which was running anyway. The problem for us in Brent Knoll is it doesn't come through us, it goes through Limsham. And so at the moment we have no buses whatsoever coming through the village in terms of ones that people can get on to go anywhere they want to. I've spoken with County to advise them that their update telling us don't worry, the 76 route is covered doesn't actually help us because it doesn't come on our particular road. And what they've explained to me at the moment is that both the Weber old route and the 20 route, which is run by First, are not subsidised by County. They were commercial routes. So they are, I would suggest, if it's at all possible, it would be worth us as a parish writing to County, raising this as a problem, because obviously our residents now have no way of getting potentially to doctor's appointments, hospital appointments and the like, or shopping. Also, they are going to come back to me with a contact details for someone at First Bus, so that we could maybe approach them and see if there was any way of encouraging them to put on a route that might come through us, even maybe alternating the one with Limsham, if they could find some way of doing that. But as it stands at the moment, the only bus that people have got that they can ask to use is the Slinky, and we all know the limitations of that when we were looking at it when it was going to replace what was in Brent Street. So what I will do is certainly pass on to Owen the contact details of the gentleman at Somerset County who's dealing with the buses in our particular area, but also as soon as I get the stuff about First Bus, pass that on to Owen as well, so that hopefully, if the council are happy to, that we write to them outlining what the problems are for our residents.
I think a really strong letter,
I'll look at, when we get a contact.
because they.
If I draw something up and then you have a look at it and you add to it and whatever, then we can do it between the
That's Thank you.
Feeling that we go to the MP.
okay.
The next item is declarations and conflict of interest deferred from the last meeting. But I understand, did you put it on last time or ask for it to go on, Colin, or was it before?
Well, I did, but I don't think that it's not raising its head. the only point I would just ask Bob really, and it was mentioned, but if you, when the people come to us to discuss the provision of social housing and discuss sites, are you in a difficult position because you will have to adjudge this planning application at a later date?
No, because what I would have to do in the Brent Knoll situation is if a planning application comes for the committee that I'm sat on, I'll be out the room because I've been involved at this stage. Because I would have, in effect, I would have predetermined this one because I'm involved in the process.
Oh, okay. So you will opt out at a later
I'll have to opt
stage?
out at the central level.
Okay.
So that's it.
That's fine.
So we're down with that. Thank you.
Just speaking about well, it's not quite the same, but about the low-cost housing, that it is general knowledge in the village now about where the sites are. Well, I've never said a word to anybody, but somebody's been talking to me and I said, well, you shouldn't even know that. So I don't know what's happened.
And that wasn't discussed as part of a public meeting, so we actually
No, but it's there and people are talking about it.
In terms of the minutes, the minutes don't get...
The only thing that happens on the minutes is that it's mentioned that affordable housing discussions have taken place.
The
We don't have to
details
talk about any details of sites
Well, no,
or any of the confidential information. We do that for that obvious reason, not to draw attention to any particular areas.
So
So
I
it's
think,
got to have come from this room.
Well, I'm just saying that it was
We have
told
a
to me.
district councillor here last time.
yes. I think the issue has to be one to just remind people that...
I'm not saying it's anyone here.
No, but just to
Somebody's
remind
obviously
people,
talking
just
about
to
it.
remind people that anything we discuss in confidence should remain confident, but in these four walls, please.
Was it recorded, Bob?
No. The only thing that obviously we can't control is whether the landowners themselves have said the correct one. So it may well be that everyone around here has confidence. It could be coming from...
Just as a point of principle, not necessarily on this issue, but any issue that is dealing with confidence, just to remind people. But you're absolutely right, because if Sedgemoor, whoever it is, affordable housing, had gone to Joe Bloggs up the road and said, how much do you want for this field? He goes into the pub and over a pint says, hey, guess what? I just got offered £4 million for my field.
I can afford a pint.
As much as little as that.
You said on the house.
Yeah, okay. SID Bluetooth update data. I did write an article which has gone into BKN. I have to say, when I actually got the data for the original analysis, I struggled to get the data in my own right. And I sent to Owen and Colin as chairman at that time, and all of a sudden it appeared. So I would like somebody to wave their magic wand, please, and it would be useful to get some covering Burton Row. Because at that time, up to then, he hadn't been recording the location of where Sid was. But he had to know last time it was getting involved.
We've got data for Brent Street, not for Burton Row.
And I think if we get that, then we can perhaps go forward to the police, because as Bob mentioned, it has to be 20% before it's an issue. And my neighbour, an ex-policeman who understands these things, I was talking to him about it, and he knows the 60-mile-an-hour guy as well. And
Am I married to him?
I don't think so. But he did say, since his accident and being a paraplegic, Simon Anderson, people know Simon Anderson. He said to me he's lost a bit of touch with current law, but that was what his perception was when he was a traffic policeman. But it would be useful to do it for Burton Row, and then we can consider things further. Could you work the miracle, please? Thank you. Proposed handyman for Parish Council. We want to have further discussions on this, and I think we've already highlighted that there is a need, not necessarily immediate, but coming up to the future, there should be a need for somebody to do jobs. But I think it ought to be somebody that will be doing it on a job-by-job basis, so it's almost like an individual contract as opposed to a carte blanche. approach, and we need to define clear rules of communication. Sorry, Mike, just before I acknowledge your query, the other thing that came up this afternoon was I was querying Jason's contract, and I'm conscious that we need to clarify key roles of communication for him, because I was speaking to him and he was getting a bit of a mixed message from time to time on what he should be doing. And so I'm proposing that Owen would act as the link between what Jason does and what we want him to do, please.
Yeah.
And then we know that it's covered either by the contract or we have to look for an additional thing. Sorry, Malcolm is first. Malcolm?
I think it's a bit misguided to consider a handyman from the point of view that a lot of jobs require certification, corgi, electrical qualifications. To have a handyman with both of those would be rather exceptional. And to have somebody on call, they would need a retainer or something to make them capable or able to be approached at any time to do that. I think that our present system of using local traders is quite adequate.
With respect, we're also using people around this table who volunteer their services free of charge,
Well,
and that is, in some ways, I think, is very good and it's very nice, and I applaud the people that do it, but it's something we should not rely on.
it was also mentioned about the handyman being able to help Richard Ibrahim with the SID. I would think that's totally unfair that somebody who's not on the parish council does it out of the goodwill of his heart and a handyman be paid for it.
I accept that. Yes, Colin.
Well, I don't think it's our intention to get involved with gas installations or electrical installations. But what I would propose is that either the monitoring committee or a separate committee, a small group, get together and thrash out whether we use a handyman, if so, how are we going to use him, or alternatively, do we have a list of approved contractors that we when it's fencing, we go to the fencing man. When it's a sign, we go to the sign man. When it's hedging, we go to the hedging man. And then it's presented to the council, because I don't think we've got the time in our meetings to thrash something out so detailed as that, and it could well be assigned to the monitoring group or another group that would meet to present their proposals, and then they can assess subcontractors or handymen.
One of the things you've got to be careful, of course, is that on some projects we really ought to be doing more tendering than we're doing. We don't do a lot of that. We tend to say, oh, Ian will do that, and Ian Morgan will do something else. But I think from the point of view of how we're perceived, we ought to be fairly open about if it's a large item. So we need, as you're right, Colin, we probably need to have a figure by which we say, right, anything below that figure
is okay.
We go out to that. If it's more than that figure, it goes to 10.
So I would suggest something like £100 is 150.
That's for you decide.
Peter?
It's a good idea to have a list of people we can go to, because as Owen was saying, and we're all finding out that it takes so long to get anything done. We go out to tenders and people don't bother to reply, and then you end up going to the...
Yeah, I know it's something that perhaps the monitoring group could do, but I'm just wondering whether it might be a specialist group to do it. I don't know what people's views would be. Well, I certainly welcome Peter's presence, I think, because you... No? No, I'm just thinking you know what's involved, that's all, because you've been doing something.
No, you get on better without me.
Can't volunteer for anything.
No, I'm stepping back.
No, we're happy to do it as a monitoring group.
I'll come along to help do that. So.
Can we not put something in the Brent Knoll News inviting local contractors to put their name forward?
And what services they could offer.
And what they could offer, yeah.
But again, let's thrash it out, the details in the
Yeah,
monitoring. So we might have to have
one in July. if you want
Yeah,
one July.
we might have to
July,
have
we
one
won't
July.
have until September, but
Well,
back on July.
Yeah.
that's right.
So you have a July one, everybody on one group?
And Colin could perhaps be
And then bring it to the council for the next meeting to
Colin